How's it going, and welcome to No Fun Allowed's guide series on Candlekeep Mysteries, a 5th edition module. In today's video, I'm going to give my overall thoughts and some opinions I have on Candlekeep Mysteries. Of course, there is going to be a ton of spoilers, so players don't watch this. But DMs don't want that added insight on someone who's ran this and someone who's consumed a lot of the media on it. Go ahead and stick around because there's a lot to cover. So after having ran all of these adventures, watched my buddies run all of these adventures, dissected them all in all those DM guides that I've done, I've learned quite a lot from this book. I've peered through every single bit of it. But the thing to consider is we get all that great info on the adventures itself, but they're all open-ended because they're kind of designed to be open-ended. They're supposed to be mini-shots or one-shots. I know a lot of people like running campaigns. I know one-shots or mini-shots aren't everyone's cup of tea or whatever it is. So I know a lot of people have gone through the lengths of trying to make this a full-blown campaign, which is pretty easy. I know immediately after this book came out, was the Coast put out a thing on making this their own, one big campaign. My opinion on that is simply just tie things to players' backgrounds, right? Have someone have some sort of run-in with Zikron at some point in their career. And then if your players grew up in the same maybe village as Errant Quill, and you could have all these backgrounds where they all intermingle with all the adventures to some degree. I think it's a really easy and simple way. But another way to go about that is to have all the adventures string together in one. Where after that first one there in dealing with the extra dimensional space, then that somehow moves on to the next one and the next one and the next one. I think that's a little bit tougher of a sell. It does require a little bit of legwork, but it's not impossible. What I really think it comes down to is, what does your players buy into the game? What have they shown up to the table for? Are they okay with you hand-waving some things, or do they want a full-blown, absolute monstrous detail on the next adventure to come? As for making this a full-blown campaign, this is sort of the sort of style that I like for 5th edition because 5e is pulpy. 5e is high-octane action. It's supposed to be. You have a whole bunch of abilities, you get a whole bunch of things, and realistically, you just get more and more resources, you get more and more powerful. So it's designed to be just all these crazy, awesome set pieces and locations. And I truly do think that this campaign really sells it. You get into some really epic, awesome combats, you go to awesome locations, you meet up with incredible people, and it's just breakneck speed, but that's what this game is designed for. And funnily enough, 5e is actually made for 6 to 8 encounters in a day, but literally no one does that ever, right? Everyone just does whatever. Me personally, when I ran these and when I'm going to run them forever and all the time, I am not going to allow long rest in these one-shots. I never allow long rest for one-shots. Slows down time, I don't like... I like people showing up to the table and seeing all those resources and saying, hey, these are my resources for the session, what am I going to do with it? I really like that, right? And it fits really well with this campaign, whether you make this a campaign or just run all of these individual things as adventures. I think it works incredibly well. Now, when it comes to the quality of these adventures, I'm here to tell you that every single one of these is worth running. Every single one of them has awesome set pieces or fun NPCs to interact with, fun combats to get into, awesome items to loot, awesome whatever the case may be. However, obviously some of them are just going to be flat out written better than others. And by better, of course, better is subjective. Some of them are just going to fit better for you and your players. Some of them are more dealing with exploration, and maybe your group doesn't care about exploration. Some of them are going to deal with more about roleplay and combats to be avoided. And maybe your group loves getting into combat, right? Maybe some of them are super combat heavy and your group is more into the roleplay aspect. So not all the adventures are going to be for everybody. It's easy enough to convert them, I guess. For example, being if you have a roleplay heavy group, then Xanthoria certainly can hit the roleplay elements, but my gosh, are those combats insane. You probably could just hand wave some of those away. But, definitely Xanthoria is a great example of that could be some real heavy hitting RP there. But then we take a look at another one, and, The Joy of Exponential Spaces. That one is not as heavy on the RP. It can be. It can easily be made to, but it initially isn't, right? So, in regards of making this adventure fit for your table, I think that there is just so little work required. Talk to me, comment down below, join my Discord, join the Candlekeep Mysteries Discord, and there's plenty of people that have ran these adventures and can give their tips on how you can make this adventure fit your specific wants and needs. For this book being called Candlekeep Mysteries, of course, the highlight is supposed to be Candlekeep because this is where all the adventures start off with. Your players are in the library or they're somewhere, and a book lands in front of them, or they get told something, and then boom, they're just on their way, right? But unfortunately, Candlekeep gets very little love in this book. And there is 2 whole adventures of the whole book that actually pertain to Candlekeep. The rest of them, you just are going off everywhere. Or maybe they start off in Candlekeep, of course, but they quickly move off. Candlekeep doesn't get much love, which is unfortunate because there is a really lot of cool things that can be done with it, right? We get a nice little decent section on the lore of Candlekeep, about what's going on here, about the fact that there is so many books that literally no one knows how many books there are, which I think is really cool storytelling because you could fit anything in here and it's totally reasonable. And also the fact that there is this underground complex underneath Candlekeep and nobody knows about it. Like, it's very, very well hidden. It's protected by a spectral dragon, All these things are really cool. So I definitely think that we should have gotten a bit more love for Candlekeep. But, I definitely think that's up for everyone else to, put in whatever the case may be. I personally am working on some Candlekeep mysteries myself. And I know that one of them is going to be all about dealing with the underground of Candlekeep because I think there's a lot of cool things to be done with that. So in regards of, is this book a complete package? We, unfortunately, we compare this to other books, right? We just automatically make these assumptions, right? So when we compare Candlekeep Mysteries to any of the traditional 5e modules, like, let's say, Out of the Abyss or Tomb of Annihilation, Curse of Strahd, they don't compare well because all of those are both set pieces and, adventures all in one. This is not trying to be that. This is just trying to be a whole bunch of cute little mini adventures. So then we compare this specifically to Tales from the Yawning Portal and Ghost of Saltmarsh. Tales from the Yawning Portal has a whole bunch of adventures taken from older editions and retrofitted them to 5th edition. But the thing with those is those adventures are typically not one-shots. They're typically mini-shots, little mini-adventures. And those ones I feel like are really easy to just immediately say, hey, you're a group of adventurers, and boom, you just are going on adventure to adventure. Then we compare Ghost of Saltmarsh. Ghost of Saltmarsh is both older modules from, previous things, and it's a set-piece location. So Candlekeep, probably more in line with trying to compare Ghost of Saltmarsh. I don't know if this holds up as well because I think the majority of people like bigger adventures. I like small adventures myself, but, it is what it is. People, gravitate to whatever it is they like. I know that I'm going to be using Candlekeep Mysteries for both running one-shots, running mini campaigns, running full-blown campaigns, and very, very importantly is just taking some of these adventures and putting them into future campaigns of mine. I think that is where this book truly, truly shines. That, the fact that you can just take these and run them so many different ways. It's definitely something you can do with the other adventure modules. You can definitely be like, oh, there's that one part of Curse of Strahd that I like. I'm going to put in another campaign. But it's not as, readily, thought of, because these ones are just so well contained and so well written in that regard. That's another thing I want to talk about is the writing. So with all of the other adventures, it's definitely a smaller team writing them, and you can definitely tell because they have the same motifs, same thoughts, and very, very importantly is the layout. Because this was written by a whole bunch of different authors and they had their own criteria on how they wanted to write these, mind you, I know how the design process worked because I've already interviewed several of the authors. The thing is they didn't have that go-to, it has to be in this format, it's got to be presented this way. So I know that a lot of people aren't going to like the fact that it is in different formats like that. I have no problem with it because I truly do think that I get a lot more of a insight on the author's character in regards to that, right? I think that that's a lot better written. But once again, I know that a lot of people want consistency. And that is not something you're going to get in this book. There is no consistency at all between chapter to chapter, but that's fine because you should be basically reading the entirety of the adventure before you read it or before you play it. So it really comes down to how well prepared you are, or if you're trying to run this thing off the seat of your pants. I've mentioned before that you can definitely, like, if you have a quick skim through of the adventure, you can definitely run it page by page as you're looking through. As your players are making decisions, you can be like, they're going against this adventure next, go. You could be doing that, but I never recommend that. You should definitely have a little bit more prepared. So is this book worth purchasing? Is it worth running? I cannot definitively tell you for sure. It really comes down to the kind of games that you want to run. I know this isn't going to appeal to everyone. I don't think it's going to be the most popular book around, which is unfortunate because I love it. One thing that makes this truly, truly shine is that diversity in the authors, is the fact that we just get so many different ideas and thoughts and emotions conveyed into the pages of this book. But I know people traditionally want these big epic adventures. They want these long spanning things that are very easy to pick up, read, and run, and have these huge communities behind them. You're not going to get that as much with this book. But if you are a-okay with getting these cute little adventures that can be ran as one-shots, mini-shots, full-blown campaign, or in your own already pre-made campaigns, then this is without a doubt a great read. Not only for you to be able to read this and run it, but also I think is a very good idea to look at this adventure and then think about some things that you might want to create, right? Think about the design philosophy on these adventures, saying, okay, here's the start, here's the middle, here's the end. How do they go about going here? Maybe I'm going to make my own adventures and I'm going to basically take apart the design philosophy. I think it's really great for that as well. I've had a blast with this book, and if you're into this sort of thing, I know without a shadow of a doubt you will be too. So go ahead and tell me, do you think that this book is worthwhile? Have you already purchased it and ran it? Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? Are you on the fence about it and now I've sort of solidified your opinion? Go ahead and tell me all those things because I would love to hear it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you to my amazing patrons. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so very much. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.